right, so how about this? Is leaving your phone plugged in all night really, really bad for the battery?
Yeah, it's a question I think we've all wondered about at some point or another.
Right, like are we basically killing our phones slowly? But instead of just, reading a couple articles, we actually went pretty deep on this one.
Oh, yeah, we really wanted to get the full picture.
We had an AI agent go through, get this, 162 different sources.
Research papers, articles, we even found some official company statements from, the big phone companies.
Like Apple and Samsung even weighed in on this whole overnight charging thing.
Right, because it's a big deal. But the interesting thing is, it turns out our phones are way smarter than we might give them credit for.
Okay, so you're saying they're not just tiny procrastination machines.
They're good at that too, but they also have these built-in things called battery management systems.
What, like a little security guard that lives inside your phone?
Pretty much. And their whole job is to protect the battery, make sure nothing bad happens to it, especially when it comes to overcharging. So once your phone reaches that 100% charge, the system actually cuts off the current, even if it's still plugged in.
Really? I had no idea. But wait, I swear I've seen my phone, it'll say it's still charging even after it hits 100%.
Yeah, and you're not imagining things. That's called trickle charge.
Trickle charging.
Yeah.
That sounds a little ominous, doesn't it?
It's not quite as intense as it sounds, but it is kind of the main reason why this whole overnight charging thing is a bit more complicated than just plugging in and forgetting about it.
Okay, so even though the battery management system is supposed to stop it from, overcharging, there's still something going on when it's plugged in all night.
Right. Even with those systems, your phone's going to lose a little bit of charge just sitting there, and when it's plugged in, it keeps topping it back up to 100%. That's basically the trickle charging happening.
Because it's constantly, topping it off.
Exactly. It's almost like, imagine you're trying to keep a glass of water completely full all the time. Even if a tiny bit evaporates, you're constantly going to be adding a drop or two to keep it at the very top, right?
Okay, yeah. And I'm guessing that's not great for the battery in the long run.
You got it. Now, it's not like trickle charging is going to kill your phone overnight, but it does put a bit more stress on the battery over time.
So it's more about it becoming a habit than, the occasional overnight charge if you forget to unplug.
Exactly. Because all that topping off, it creates a little bit of heat, and heat is not a battery's best friend. You know how your phone feels kind of warm if you've been using GPS on a hot day or something?
Yeah, for sure.
That kind of heat can actually make your battery degrade faster.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay,
Yeah.
well, I am definitely guilty of leaving my phone plugged in all night. But what about the opposite? When I forget to plug it in and it completely dies, is that super bad too?
That's actually a common myth. Those battery management systems, remember?
Our little battery bodyguards.
Yeah, they're pretty good at their jobs, but they do have limits. Constantly draining your battery to 0 and then charging it all the way back up to 100%, it can actually stress them out a bit.
So both extremes are bad. Constantly topping it off or letting it totally die.
It's all about finding a balance. You don't want to push the battery too far in either direction.
Okay, so what's the ideal way to charge your phone then? Is there a sweet spot or something?
You're on the right track. Keeping it between, say, 20% and 80% is a good general rule of thumb.
Okay, so no more 0 to 100% charges then.
Ideally not as a regular thing. It won't kill your battery immediately, but over time, it can cause it to wear down faster than it normally would.
This is so interesting. I had no idea there were so many things to think about with phone batteries.
Right. It's more than just plugging in wherever and whenever, but that's why we love doing these deep dives. It's all about finding those little hidden things that can make a big difference in the long run.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
So besides this whole charging sweet spot thing, what other battery-saving tips do we need to know about?
Well, it turns out that our charging habits are only part of the story. There are a few other things that can affect how long our batteries last.
Spill the beans? What else is messing with our batteries?
Well, we've talked about heat already, right? With the whole trickle charging thing.
Right.
But it's not just about charging. Putting your phone through extreme temperatures, like leaving it out in the freezing cold, or even worse, like in a hot car in the summer.
Ooh, yeah.
That can really do a number on your battery.
So no more using my phone as a coffee warmer then.
Probably a good idea. And while we're on the topic of things we do to our phones, we got to talk about fast charging.
Oh yeah, fast charging. Lifesaver when you're in a rush, but I've heard rumors that it's not so good for the battery in the long run.
You heard right. It's super convenient, don't get me wrong, but it does have a bit of a downside. Because it's pushing all that power into the battery so quickly, it tends to create more heat.
And we know how much batteries love heat.
Exactly. Think of it like this going for a nice relaxing walk versus like sprinting as fast as you can.
Yeah.
You'll get where you're going either way, but one is definitely going to be a lot more taxing on your body. Same idea with fast charging.
So slow and steady wins the battery race.
Pretty much. And there's one more thing a lot of people don't realize. Different phones actually use different types of batteries.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so some batteries are just naturally more resilient to things like trickle charging or those extreme temperatures more than others.
Wow, this is blowing my mind. I had no idea there was so much to think about with phone batteries. It's like a whole hidden world.
It really is. It's not just about when you charge, but how you charge, and even what type of battery you have.
Exactly. But hey, that's what we're here for, right? To uncover all those little things that can make a big difference.
Exactly. Because a few small changes here and there can go a long way.
I've definitely been guilty of some battery sins in the past, but now I am armed with all the knowledge. No more dead phone for me.
Haha, that's the spirit.
Well, on that note, I think we've covered just about everything there is to know about phone batteries, at least for one day.
Definitely given everyone a lot to think about.
For sure. So until next time, happy charging, everyone.